Hi, welcome back to Investor Insights. I want to talk to you today about the bubble mentality. Unfortunately, we're living through yet another bubble. In fact, it's two bubbles. And most people don't realize they're living in one. You see, the central banks all around the world, including our RBA through low rates, have made a whole bunch of cheap money flood the market, and that's driving up everything. It's driving up the real estate market somewhat. It's driving up the stock market, definitely. And the bond market is just unheard of. The speculation is rife. And this is where all the lemmings jump on board. And we all know what happened to them. It's very important for people to understand that you do not see a bubble forming. You do not feel a bubble around you. And even when it's running wild, people actually feel happy and excited, rather than, taking a step back and asking the questions, why are prices so high? Why are people still buying? It's just human nature, unfortunately. Now, you're currently living through a bond bubble, especially in the States. You're living in a stock market bubble. It's at all-time high in the States. You're living through a housing bubble in Australia. You just don't realise it. You see, fundamentals play a huge part in anybody's investments. If you're taking investment advice from taxi drivers or friends, unless of course they're financial advisors, then I'd like to retract that statement. But anybody out there who just makes an investment decision based on somebody else's word and doesn't do their research, it's going to end in tears. And I'm sorry to say that this is going to end in tears for a lot of people. Nobody during tech wreck in 2000 thought, oh my God, we're living in a bubble. No. The stock market, the stock picking advice at the time was open a newspaper to the financial pages, find any stock with the word .com behind it, buy it, a week later you'll be up 5 or 10%. And this went on for about a year. And then when the fundamentals caught up with him and things just didn't make any sense whatsoever, it just imploded. The Nasdaq to this day has never recovered to its stratospheric heights from back then. America had a housing bubble which led to the global financial crisis. And nobody felt that it was a bubble, but it was clearly one. And right now, they don't realize that they're living through another huge speculative bunch of bubbles. But when people are in the money, they don't want to hear it. They're just in, they're up, they feel good, and because they're married to the positions, they're not going to let go, as long as it's making money. But don't forget that stocks fall 3 times quicker than they get up. When Armageddon comes, and these guys are just married with whatever investment instruments that they have, whether it be a house or stocks or bonds, they're all going to get killed. So the lesson to learn from this is make sure you know what you're investing in, what the investment climate is, and certainly know what downside is there to your investment. You've got to learn to appreciate the upside downside ratios. If you've got twice as much upside as downside, it's going to be a pretty good trade. But if your downside is 10 times what your upside is, you should stay the hell away. Even though it may still keep on going up, you're going to get killed. You're going to be torn all sorts of new orifices. You don't have to be a genius to see that things aren't making sense. You can take a look at a lot of stocks out there. I mean, just purely for example, I'm going to use the S&P 500. The number one stock in terms of performance in the past 12 months has been Netflix. And you can check this out on Bloomberg.com or just any financial website. But this company is trading at over 100 times earnings. Now, why would you buy a company that's making, several $1 million here and there per quarter, if not just scraping above a loss? And the company is worth a ton of money. You're talking billions. Now, if you had that money on you, if you had $1 billion to spend, would you spend $1 billion buying a company that only makes you, $10 million or $20 million a quarter? Man, you might as well stick it in the bank and earn interest. Why would you buy a company like that? That's just stupid. But you know what? That stock came down from 300 odd to be 60 odd, and it was still overvalued then. But because it's had a few marginally better than expected results, people jumping into the stock and have basically tripled and almost quadrupled it since then. That is speculation running wild. And you don't want to take part in that. Yes, it may be good on the way up, but you don't know it's going to double or triple or quadruple. But what happens if you're the biggest fool that jumps in at $200 and it goes to $40? Man, I don't know how many boxes of tissues you're going to go through, but it's going to be a sad, 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 sad day for you. The day Armageddon comes for that stock. But that's just one example. The whole stock market is basically all speculation right now. It's all money from the central banks that's pouring into stock funds. And as I've always said before, if you do not understand why a stock is where it is in terms of price, don't take part in it. Because you have to understand that just because a stock goes up doesn't mean it's a good stock. And the other lesson is, just because everybody else is doing something doesn't mean you have to do it. Because when everybody else gets killed, at least you're going to be the one person left standing by not doing anything. So until next time, feel free to drop me an email anytime at realistic.investor.insights@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you next time.